So let's go talk about here the week 2 NFL games here. We're going to talk about Sunday Night Football as well as Monday Night Footballs. The doubleheader on Monday Night Football. So let's go talk about. So we had the Atlanta Falcons defeated the Minnesota Vikings 22-6. The problem with this game was that the Minnesota Vikings offensive line. In the first half, they did not terrible. It was manageable in the first half. They just had their same offensive line as the first game. Christian Darrisaw was out. He was out. So that's really what hurt them a little bit. But they were not doing bad though. Their defense showed up. But then on the second half, we had their starting center got injured, or felt an injury happen, and went over to the sidelines, got checked out, and realized he was out for the game. And then another offensive lineman was out during the game, so they had 3 offensive linemen, 2 their starting center, and 2 other offensive linemen, the tackles or guards. So that, and then some of their, I think they have their defense, a little bit of their defense is banged up. They have their offense, which wasn't bad though. That their defense, they still were okay though. They had but some of their offense might be coming back. Their offensive line, or we'll see. They want to come back soon. All that, so they can. And then you got Jordan Addison out for a couple games, 3 games due to the suspension. So that is not. He was playing though, so that wasn't a bad but and then they got JJ McCarthy. He's out. The offensive line can't protect him one bit. He has not been able to protect him in the first game. In that second game, they really couldn't protect him. So that was really, and then that got him injured, and then so he's out for 3-4 weeks, which is something, But maybe when the offensive line comes back and is healthy, maybe he'll be able to be protected better, and have to do what he's been doing on offense, and because he can't develop the plays, so he's just trying to throw and get it out of the way, and he can't, he's taking sacks, all this, and it's really nothing on him. So, I hope that, if Carson Wentz can show, maybe he doesn't, maybe J.J. McCarthy sits out. But if J.J. McCarthy is going to be out for 3 weeks, say, and then their bye week, maybe they evaluate both Carson Wentz and J.J. McCarthy. They evaluate both of them with all the starters. All the starting running the starting offensive lineman and center. They evaluate both with 100%, completely. Starting lineup of offensive lineman. If everyone was healthy, starting lineup. So that is it. That is what it is. We're not injury free, so I'll see that. We'll see. You could see that. So maybe that will happen. I could see that. Or if Wentz looks better they don't have the starting starting back in the same one. They had the same exact one as McCarthy had in the second half of the Vikings offense line in the second half of the Falcons game against the Cincinnati Bengals, and he does better. Then they might keep in Carson Wentz if he does better, So yeah, kind of unfortunate. I mean, it kind of sucks but what do you do, And then we had Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They defeat the Houston Texans 2019. It was a low-scoring game. In the first half, the first quarter was more higher scoring, but the second half, Tampa Bay only scored 7. Then neither team scored in the third, and in the fourth, Houston scored 9. Tampa Bay scored 6. So it was a pretty close game in that second half. In that game, it was pretty close to the whole entire game. The only difference was that Tampa Bay, Houston had the ball and they got the points of it. But then they tried to go for 2, then, which made sense to go for 2, because it would have been 20, it would have been a touchdown plus the extra point make. We would have won Tampa Bay the game. And then Houston ended up missing the 2-point conversion. And then Tampa Bay went for the 6, and then instead of going for the extra point, they went for the 2. They went for a 2, because in case something were to happen, like the kickoff was out of bounds, saying then they ended up getting just enough to try for a field goal. It would tie it up and force overtime if they got it, but they didn't. And that was 22-20. It's 2019. Tampa Bay won with 6 seconds left in the game. So can't come. So yeah, that's wow. It wasn't very high, super high scoring, but it was entertaining nonetheless. The Los Angeles Chargers were taking control over the Las Vegas Raiders early. They were up 10-3. Geno Smith, he threw 3 interceptions in that game. First game he looked a lot better. In the second game, he did not look so good in that one. And it was, granted, the Raiders, they may have been playing tougher competition, but still, problem of it was they were not running the ball a lot with. Ashton Jeanty. The Raiders were not using him a lot for running because they know that he is their running back. They know that, they should know that he's the really solid running back. And they should actually use him more in either the running game through running the ball or screen passes, short screen passes. They're basically run, you're not passing right for, then he's running, trying to get a bunch of yards after the catch. That thing. So that but he never really did a ton of that either or. So, but they probably should. They should have though, because it looked and then they're also doing they had a drive in the third quarter going after Los Angeles Chargers took 7.5 minutes off the game clock. The Raiders, they ended up trying to get a touchdown. They used the whole third quarter on that drive, and then they used the fourth quarter. Went to it was 11.5 minute long drive. It was 11.5, 12 minute drive. By the time it was over, yeah, it was 7:30, 11:15. So that was 11. So that was 11 minutes. That was 11 minutes and 15 seconds on that drive. That Las Vegas scored. So they only got a field goal out of it. So that was not the best, just to keep the ball for that long, and only get a field goal out of it. That kind of stings. That stings for the Raiders. If they would have gotten a touchdown, the Chargers won them, their defense and all that, the offense, defense, all that type of thing. They wanted them to go methodical, and they wanted them to be methodical and just really, really take down the clock. They really wanted them to take down the clock. and just, be really methodical. If they had to get took them first down, second down, third down, every single drive, every single series of downs, just to get a first down. It took them to third down, to get a first down. They might get second and second and 7, third and 2, third and 3. But they would get 3-4 yards every play, but then they would that was what they wanted, the Chargers did, and that's what they got them, and then they stopped them in the third. They stopped them at field goal, which if they would have used even more time up and it got a touchdown, it would have been okay, hey, we they were a really stingy defense, but eventually pushed through and got the touchdown, okay, but that didn't happen, so yeah, unfortunately, that's the Raiders did not win that one. So that is my thoughts on Monday and Sunday football and Monday football NFL games. So yeah, there's a couple games that were that's it was interesting. The Falcons, it was interesting to maybe see them two play again on prime time. But just Vikings did not show up. But that's because the offensive line could not block. And then they had the same issue. But then the second half, when they really had no protection, new center, new seconds, backup center, another backup offensive lineman, instead of just one. So that's what really hurt. So maybe if they can, do better next week, with Winston. Maybe they need Winston at quarterback. Maybe they do need, I think they need to also some practice with get used to what the offensive linemen, and what they can do, so. And if Wentz can turn this thing around. If Wentz can play better with both of them in, that might be a little better McCarthy, but also might attribute to some practice time with both of them. But if they got some first ring offensive linemen, some of them, that I think that can help, Wentz too. So, and some other injuries. So, yeah.